India just finished paying off a bill worth 3.23 lakh crore for the petrol that people burned more than 15 years ago. And this mainly traces back to the period between 2004 and 2014 under the UPA government, especially during the 2008 financial crisis when global crude prices sharply increased and there was strong pressure to keep the fuel prices low. Now understand this in a simple way. Imagine petrol actually costs 60 rupees per litre, but it is sold at 40 rupees because the government tells the oil companies to sell it at cheaper prices and promises to pay the 20 rupees remaining difference. So normally the government should pay this 20 rupees in cash and show it as an expense. But instead, it avoided doing so to keep the fiscal deficit low. So fiscal deficit simply means the gap between what the government earns and what it spends. If the gap increases, the government has to borrow more money, which in turn increases the debt and interest burden. So instead of paying cash, they started issuing something called as oil bonds. Basically means we won't pay you now. We will pay you 15 to 20 years later with 8% interest. Basically to keep the fiscal deficit low again. So after this phase, the NDA government came into power in 2014 and focused on clearing these old liabilities. And a significant push came during 2022 when India was buying cheaper crude oil from Russia even after US sanctions. So the benefit of this cheaper oil was not fully passed on to the customers. Instead, a part of that margin was used to strengthen government finances and continue repaying this old oil bond dues. And by 2026, this entire deferred burden has finally been cleared. So the UPI government alone issued around 1.4 lakh crore of such bonds, and over time with interest, the total repayment became 3.23 lakh crores, which is equal to 70% of Karnataka's government budget, out of which more than 1.7 lakh crore is only interest. So this clearly shows how the burden was shifted. People enjoyed cheaper petrol earlier, but the actual cost was delayed and paid later by the future taxpayers, and that is you and me.
Like to say, the taxpayers of today, honorable members, through the chairman, I request, please pay attention to this fact. The taxpayers of today are paying for the subsidy dished out to consumers more than a decade ago by the UPA government, and they will continue to pay for the next 5 years as the redemption of the bond continues until 2026.
And this connects directly to what we see today. When governments announce freebies to win elections, they hide the real cost, which eventually it adds to the debt and next generation ends up paying for it. The same money which could have been used for infrastructure, hospitals and other development projects. Follow for more.